Howdy neighbor, how is your garden growing? My garden, well, it's doing amazing, and it's time for us to do some midsummer garden harvest. So join me today as we start harvesting some of the abundance that's in the garden, plus doing some maintenance so that we can just keep this garden under control as we go through the torturous midsummer of Florida. So if you're looking to get inspired to think about things that you could grow through the summer in your Florida garden, or you're looking for some motivation to get out into your garden, or you just want to hang out, this is the video for you. And let's start by harvesting some of our Puerto Rican black beans. So with our harvest today, we are starting by pulling beans, and I only thought we had just a few, but the more that we got into it, I was like, oh my, oh my. Crazy thing about these Puerto Rican black beans is I only bought 2 plants from Elise at Urban Harvest last year, and those 2 plants took over this arch. And I didn't even replant for this year. Those are just beans that accidentally fell the prior year and then just grew. And I saw that they were growing, so I thought, just let them go. So I have no idea how many plants are there. I didn't make the mistake of putting loofah with them this year because otherwise it was just a mess. But even just with these few plants, it is still like crazy how much like beans, and they're all twining around each other. I mean, I kept seeing that there were dry beans and I knew I needed to go get them, but I did not realize how many there were. So this is good. I mean, we still got a lot of summer left and we're gonna have more beans as the summer goes. So now I just gotta kind of figure out, well, first I wanna try to do a test run on pressure canning black beans because I've never pressure canned black beans before. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't know, like, I don't wanna put in seasoning and then not like it later, but I was talking to Katrina because I feel like her canning skills much more advanced than mine, to pick her brain about some of my ideas about how I'm gonna go pressure can, and based on her experience, whether she thought that was like a good idea or it doesn't work. So I feel like I have some good ideas to go pressure can these black beans, but I do wanna do a test run because what you don't wanna do is pressure can a whole bunch of stuff to find out like, oh, I hate this. And now I have a lot of it. And then basically I made Ben get another bowl because there were so many beans. I brought 1 bowl for all the things I was gonna harvest. And then he went and grabbed another large bowl and we filled that with beans. So now we have 2 giant bowls of beans. It's probably the equivalent, like if we would have grabbed a 5-gallon bucket, it probably would have filled just about under that amount. Next, we're moving into the backyard and we need to go and get the eggplants. I have been not great about picking the eggplants because we only really use them in baba ganoush right now. and we didn't have baba ganoush on the recipe plan until next week. So I figured I'd pick them this week because Ben starts asking me questions like, well, how many eggplants am I gonna get? And I'm like, I don't know. So again, I grabbed a bowl because I figured between that and the peppers and the seeds that I wanted to go grab, that was gonna be plenty. But clearly I was wrong. So many eggplants. We're gonna have a lot of eggplant, which is great. We're gonna make lots of baba ganoush, which is great. We're already on a kind of a Mediterranean kick because we've been using the green eggplant as a cabbage substitute for coleslaw. And then what we're doing is we're using the coleslaw in like a Mediterranean pita with falafel and hummus. So we're trying that out tonight actually. And then what we're gonna do is if we really like that combination, we'll try it with baba ganoush next weekend. But it was a really good way for us to use up like a lot of our green papayas outside of like the typical green Thai papaya salad that like everybody does, which is cool if you do that because we've done it before too. But actually we've made the coleslaw before and I really like I like using green papaya in coleslaw. So what Ben did is he took like I think it was like a red cabbage coleslaw recipe and basically replaced all the green cabbage, that's like 6 cups worth of cabbage, with papaya. And then he just took the red papaya, and not red papaya, that didn't make sense. He took the red cabbage, kept that in, and then we did the green papaya as the green cabbage. So, and it's probably a little bit more crunchy than your typical coleslaw, but I like it. Like I like it a lot. Like I ate it basically by itself. So I don't know. If you like coleslaw, definitely a good way to use your papayas in a non-tropical way. And then we moved on to peppers and I knew I had a few. I guess I had more again. So I had to get another bowl. So we got lots of peppers. We got jalapenos, a few banana peppers. I think, oh, there was one California Wonder, which we talked about. Those do not do well. And then what I did is I went through and I started grabbing lettuce seeds. And I also grabbed our basil seeds because that basil has done really, really well going through a lot of this heat. So I want to keep the seeds for those so that I can start those for our next round of crops when we get closer to that. And then I grabbed a couple of leaves of kale, for a morning smoothie. It has not gone to seed yet, which my plan was when it goes to seed was to grab some seeds so I could start more for next year, but it's doing too good. So I guess I'll have to buy dino kale seeds. Which, are we really mad? We're not really mad. And then I grabbed another bowl so that I could go grab my ahisei peppers, the eggplants that dropped on the ground when I took the other eggplants inside. So I had to go scavenger hunting for a few eggplants that fell through the yard. So no, those are not additional. Those are just ones that fell out of the other bowl because it was so overfull. And then I went also and grabbed carrot seed heads, and these were the carrots that did awesome. And so I'm going to go, and if you want to know like which varieties that I use and I'm recommending for this coming fall, because we're getting closer and closer, I did a video recently where I talked through a lot of the varieties I'm going to be using. I'll link that at the end so that you can like check that out. So now that I have my harvest and I have all these seeds, the big thing I need to do before we do any more work is I just need to get them inside because I've left stuff out here while I continue to do work and many things start to get very wilty and gross. So inside they go. So now we're done with the harvest and I harvested my dried out seeds. So I've put all that inside and now Ben and I are moving on to, we're continuing the landscape cleanup because I want to really get this in a good spot because we're weeks, if not a month at most, away from all the work we need to start doing for the fall vegetable garden. And there's a lot of work, so I don't want to deal with this. We need to clean up the side yards. They are really looking bad. Disaster area. We've been so focused on getting the front yard all put back together, which makes sense because that's what most people see. But the side yards, just from like an access standpoint, getting around, going to our compost area, you can tell I'm hot and tired. I cannot talk. We just needed to like open up access to that. I feel like we did such a good job. Hi, Monarch. I think we did a really good job in this front yard, but we really need to get the side yards. We'll eventually get to the backyard, but that's gonna be a way bigger project. So one of the big things Ben's been aching to do, but I've held him off because I'm like, really at the end of the day, it looks terrible, but who sees it? Not even really us, because we don't walk in that section that often. So he cut the Linguistrum japonica. He also pulled out multiple trees from underneath those linguistrums, which I think those have been there since the landscapers still were taking care of it. So we went down to the root level, got those out. I went and tidied up the gardenia on the side of the house, and I just kind of cut back the narrow leaf yellow top because it may look mostly the same after I cut it back, but what it does is it grows up and then it flops over. So that space is getting wider and wider and wider and wider. So I just knocked it back so it wouldn't be so wide. And I feel like it's looking a lot better, especially the side area. I told Ben if he cuts back those hedges and they all die, I really don't care. Because eventually we were gonna replace it with stuff, but not today. So it'd be better if they didn't die. But if they did die, I won't care. And then we needed to deal with the western side. And it wasn't that bad like a month ago, but apparently the heat of the summer has just caused everything over there to explode. Those papayas were like, I don't even know how tall, 15 feet tall. The trunks were that wide. The our native climbing aster, I don't know what happened. That thing just like, it doubled. It doubled. I swear it doubled. The mulberries were fine. They didn't really need much. But the bananas, I did need to cut out a few of them just because they're growing way too close to the sidewalk. So if they do produce a bunch, they're just going to be in the way. And that's one of the things to think about when you're doing maintenance is like, don't just think about what gets it out of the way right now, but like also when it starts to fill back in. You don't want it filling back in and immediately being a problem. Just really knocked everything back like a lot. And then I worked on the jasmine trellis, which actually is filling in really nicely with corky stem passion vine too, which I like because that attracts lots of zebra longwings and Gulf fritillaries, which we have a lot of in the yard. Though right now I think we have way more monarch butterflies. As you can see in the videos, I just sit out here and they're zipping around constantly. Okay, now that we've gotten the west side garden done, I am going to attempt, while I still have some light left for the day, to start doing some of the hedges in front of our bedroom. And we'll see how far we can get today, because you know, you can only do what you can do, right? All right. Thank you, see, mommy. Yes. And that's pretty much all we're going to be able to get done today. And if you're looking for some motivation and inspiration to get a lot done during the summer heat, go check out this video right here. Or if you're thinking about what you need to do to get yourself ahead of the game for fall vegetable gardening plants, you can have an awesome, amazing, bestest vegetable garden you've had yet. Here's some tips to think about for getting your fall vegetable garden started. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.